But Nunez is always he's a handful, that's for sure.
Well, he doesn't stop getting in good areas and being an absolute pest to the opposition. He's relentless.
It suited him, didn't it, on the left in the end?
Well, he had more freedom down that side, and he had more impact on the game. I think he's got all the attributes you need to score more goals than he does.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But right now, he's very important for this Liverpool side, because what he does, Gary, as you well know, he gives you length in your game.
He runs behind.
I think tactically it was clever because Klopp puts him out there, didn't it? It created issues for Ben White. There he is there, hitting the bar. Or finishing, around the post there. That's where he has to improve. He needs to be cleaner with his feet.
Yeah.
You know, he's not the best in front of goal at the moment.
No, but Arsenal, we said at half-time they might rue missing so many opportunities, particularly, obviously, in the first half.
Gary, so many chances. I mean, this could have been a wonderful start for Ramsdale. We talked a lot about him. A great opportunity. And I just think there, he takes a touch. Now he can lift that out of the keeper. And it would have been a really good start for Arsenal to put them ahead. And it just felt you could have been here till midnight and Arsenal wouldn't have scored today. Yeah. And that's an area where there's going to be a break in matches now. They're going to have to rediscover, you know, that belief that they had in front of goal. And today, look, I mean, this is the one.
Sign a striker.
He's unlucky there, Odegaard, to be fair. He hits it clean. But
it's not just one player. It's a group of players. To go into the market to buy is the obvious thing to talk about. And maybe they do that. Maybe this accelerates that process. But there were so many opportunities today all across the board, and Ben White trying to get forward. This is an area we want to see from the Arsenal fullbacks joining in. This was imaginative.
I mean, they played some fabulous stuff in the first half.
Clever from the free kick. And I can't understand why Gabriel, someone must have called him there, because surely he's going to have to head that. There's no way, Gary, you're leaving that if that's in the box coming across there. And it was chance after chance. And I think they only had, 2 or 3 shots on goal in the end, Liverpool.
Yeah,
of course, they were more emphatic in front of goal.
I think the longer it went on, you more felt that Liverpool were going to win. Even at 0-0, I felt it, because Arsenal had all those chances first half, and it's FA Cup, doesn't matter how you play. It's the result.
Let's hear from the man of the match, Ibrahima Konate.
Ibrahima, congratulations into the next round, and you're holding the Player of the Match award. How do you assess that?
Yes, I'm very happy to get this. But I think today the man of the match was all of the team, because we did a great job all together, and without them I will never receive this. But I'm very happy, and now we're going to the next round. But now the most important thing is to work out quick, because we have a game in 3 days, and let's go.
What was key to that win? Because in the first half, particularly in the opening stages, Arsenal had so many chances.
Yes, of course, Arsenal had so many chances. We thought it and was a little bit harder when we start the game. But after, in the second half, we changed a few things. And I think when we changed that, was better for us. And we score 2 times, 2-0, clean sheet. I'm very happy.
I asked your manager pre-match if Liverpool are exactly where he wants you to be right now. He refused to answer, said he doesn't want to look at it. But you must be pretty pleased, going well in so many competitions.
Yes, of course. I know it's hard to play a lot of games, but we love it. And this is good for everyone, because like that, everyone have a time to play, you know, because you have some players who are in the bench and a lot of things. But when we have a lot of game, I know, and everyone know we can do that. We did it 2 years ago. We win only the 2 cups, but I hope this season will be different, and I cross my finger for that.
Well done today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you.
he was excellent. He's becoming a better and better player every time I see him.
Yeah, I think the most pleasing thing, Martin, is the way he performed without Virgil next to him as well.
That's really important, that you don't miss a player of that calibre. He's so quick, strong, and Arsenal couldn't get past him today. No. But we'll be back here again in a few weeks' time, Gary. The 4th of February, there's another league game, trying to look ahead for Arsenal. They've got to try and rediscover, obviously, no games now. Or is it 2 more games for the rest of this month?
I think we know what Arsenal's problem is. 3 games, all defeat, 61 shots, 1 goal.
Well, it's crazy statistics. And
just one of those things, just to run. Do they have to get someone in Pandry up front? And who should it be?
I think it's too easy to say that they've got to go and buy, but I think they will do. I think they will do now, but everybody else has to improve and chip in if they're going to do anything this season.
As for Liverpool, semi-final come up, through to the 4th round, top of the league, pretty good.
It's all rosy in the garden. And all the players are coming back.
Yeah.
You know, the 3-4 more weeks, they should have a full, well, more or less a full squad again. So Liverpool fans will be ecstatic with where they're at the moment.
Well, they certainly should be. Danny, thank you very much. Sorry, Martin, that your team went out. One of those things. Liverpool do indeed win. Arsenal had lots of chances, but it was just one of those, Diaz. Good night.
tie of the round. This could and should be a cracker.
Well, the Arsenal press has been superb, but their finishing has been dreadful.
Both teams now have shaken the crossbar. Here he goes. Oh, the game's fizzing now. How many more chances are Arsenal going to pass up? It's in this time. Liverpool find a way. And it's Luis Diaz. And he's sealed it.
Real football talk from some of the biggest names in the game. Listen to the Players Channel podcast on BBC Sounds.
Every story has its hero.
This is where it begins.
Maybe it's time you find out who you really are.
I'm kind of a big deal around here.
You're fine. Bit dramatic.
New for 2024.
She's wonderful.
On BBC iPlayer.
Without conflict, there can be no drama.
The bumpiest roads are often the most rewarding.
I like to think that I'm more of a mate than just a landlord.
You gutless, lying weasel.
The brand new series of Waterloo Road. Press red to watch now on BBC iPlayer.
The Sunday Evening News now on BBC One with Jane Hill.
Hello, good evening. The Prime Minister says the government is looking at legal options to clear the sub-postmasters wrongly convicted in the Post Office scandal, which he called an appalling miscarriage of justice. More than 700 people were convicted of charges including theft and false accounting because of a faulty computer system. Fewer than 100 of them have been exonerated. Rishi Sunak, in a wide-ranging interview with Laura Kuenssberg, also said he was committed to the plan to send some migrants to Rwanda, dismissing suggestions that he had reservations about the proposal when he was Chancellor. Our political correspondent Damian Grammaticus reports.
For Rishi Sunak, this is set to be a decisive year, issues crowding around. First, the growing calls to exonerate those caught up in the Post Office scandal. The Prime Minister was asked if he'd act to clear the hundreds wrongfully convicted, or have government, not Post Office lawyers, handle their appeals.
The Justice Secretary is looking at the things that you've described. It wouldn't be right to preempt that process. Obviously, there's legal complexity in all of those things, but he is looking at exactly those areas that you've described. It's right that we find every which way we can do to try and make this right for the people who were so, I said, wrongfully treated at the time.
Next up, one of his signature but stalled policies, focused on this place, Rwanda, and his attempts to deport asylum seekers to have their cases dealt with by the East African country. Government documents seen by the BBC suggest that as Chancellor, Mr Sunak thought the policy won't work as a deterrence, but as Prime Minister, he's pushing ahead with it.
I absolutely believe in the value and importance of having deterrence. Now, in terms of the scheme, I was Chancellor at the time. My job is to make sure that we get value for money for taxpayers to ask questions whenever anybody wants to spend taxpayers' money. I would expect the same thing of the Chancellor now.
Across London, in another TV studio, the Labour leader, keen to put pressure on the Prime Minister over when an election might be called. Mr Sunak has tried to quash speculation, suggesting it might be autumn. Sir Keir Starmer says the sooner the better.
It's very hard to see how him continuing government improves the lives of anybody in the country, so there's this drift. I can't help feeling that all he really wants to do is to get 2 years clocked up of his own premiership, and that means he's putting vanity before country.
MPs will be back in Westminster tomorrow. Some Conservatives are already gearing up to challenge Mr Sunak over his Rwanda plan. Just the start of what is certain to be a testing political calendar for the Prime Minister. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News.
Well, as we've heard, the Prime Minister confirmed a review of the Post Office after that IT scandal, which saw more than 700 branch managers convicted of charges including fraud. Our business correspondent Mark Ashdown is with me. So what could actually happen now, Mark?
Well, the issue is the process for trying to overturn those hundreds of convictions you mentioned. At the moment, each individual has to get in touch with the Post Office. The onus is on them to prove their innocence. Campaigners say it's stressful. Many are so traumatised they just don't trust the process and won't engage. Growing pressure then to have the Post Office removed from the entire thing, perhaps the Crown Prosecution Service to take over. Rishi Sunak saying there that is being thought of. The other issue, though, is how complicated it is. No matter who's in charge, this could still take a long, long time to resolve. There's a public inquiry going on. People watching that closely tell me there is mounting evidence that so many people are innocent. There is a case growing. They could all just be exonerated as one, clear everyone's name. That would be up to MPs, not judges. Could pose some pretty tricky constitutional, political questions. But many do feel that would be the quickest, simplest way to bring some justice, some compensation and closure to these hundreds of people, some who've been fighting to clear their names for 20-odd years.
Mark, thank you. Mark Ashdown. A 4-day strike that was due to begin this evening on the London Underground has been called off at the last minute. Members of the RMT union were due to walk out in protest at a 5% pay offer. But in the last hour or so, it's been announced that pay talks will reopen. But Transport for London has warned that there may still be disruption across the capital tomorrow. Weather forecasters are warning that a drop in temperatures will lead to snow and icy conditions in parts of England in the next 24 hours. It comes as many parts of the country are still trying to recover from the aftermath of Storm Hank, which caused widespread flooding and 2 deaths. About 170 flood warnings remain in place in England and Wales, and the Environment Agency says more properties could flood over the next week as river levels rise. Jessica Lane has been speaking to people in Collingham in Nottinghamshire.
I say the water came to the height here. You can see the line on the door and across above the electric sockets. So it started coming in on Thursday, came up through the floors and through the walls.
The clear-up begins after the floods.
All the sofas are not usable now. The fabric soaked the water up, and that's never going to be right, so they'll all need replacing.
Erica's had to move in with her neighbours as homes and gardens in Nottinghamshire are still underwater. It is starting to go down here. However, lots of the fields in the area are still underwater. And in fact, there are some houses over here and the people in those houses are isolated. The fire brigade has had to send boats out filled with bottles of water and tins of food to make sure that they have enough provisions to keep them going for the next few days. They've also been checking on other isolated people cut off by the sheer amount of water. Elsewhere, people alongside the River Lambourne in Berkshire were monitoring water levels all last night after some homes flooded.
Over the last 12 and 24 hours, although we've had a considerable period of dry weather and it was even sunny yesterday, water levels have continued to rise.
The Prime Minister met the Environment Agency earlier in Oxford. The government's been accused of being asleep at the wheel by Labour in its response to the widespread flooding chaos. Ministers say affected communities in England will be able to apply for funding to help them through these challenging times. And things should start to brighten up.
Even though we've got some dry weather in the forecast, it is going to take a while for the peaks in the rivers to move down through to the sea and take the pressure off communities like those we've seen in recent days.
Back here in Collingham, they say they're already seeing signs of hope. Water is going down. This road sign wasn't visible this time yesterday. But with the River Trent having reached record levels over the last few days, the floods of early 2024 will be remembered for some years to come. Jessica Lane, BBC News.
The pioneering British surgeon, Professor Sir Roy Khan, who carried out Europe's first liver transplant operation, has died at the age of 93. Sir Roy was regarded as a world-leading surgeon working at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. He was the first to use drugs to control the rejection of donated organs. Now let's catch up on a busy day of sport. Let's get the latest from Ollie Foster, who's at the BBC Sports Centre. Hi, Ollie.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening. It's been another busy day in the third round of the FA Cup. Arsenal, the most successful side in the competition's history with 14 wins, were facing 8-time winners Liverpool. Gunners had a lot of chances, but it's Liverpool who are in tomorrow's fourth round draw. Here's our sports correspondent, Andy Swiss.
Unfamiliar shirts for a very familiar rivalry. Liverpool in purple, Arsenal in white, and the Gunners were so nearly in front. Reece Nelson with the first of a string of early chances for the hosts, but crucially they couldn't take them. Martin Ødegaard came closest, but still not close enough.
How on earth did Arsenal not score?
And Liverpool nearly made them pay as Trent Alexander-Arnold rattled the bar. Plenty of drama, but no goals at the break. After it, more of the same. Arsenal's domination, matched only by their frustration. For their manager, it was getting hard to watch. And with 10 minutes left, it was even harder.
Liverpool find a way!
Arsenal's Jakub Kiwior heading it into his own net. Had Liverpool pinched it? Well, deep into stoppage time, they definitely had.
And it's Luis Diaz, and he's sealed it!
Luis Diaz sealing victory in style, Liverpool through, while Arsenal be wondering quite how this one got away. Andy Swiss, BBC News.
Well, the cup holders, Manchester City, had a very comfortable afternoon. 5-0 winners against Championship side Huddersfield. They were also boosted by the return of Kevin De Bruyne after 5 months out with a hamstring problem. He came off the bench to set up Jeremy Doku for their final goal. Premier League sides Luton and Nottingham Forest, they were held by League One sides Bolton and Blackpool. West Ham will also need a replay against Bristol City. Wins for Leeds, Wrexham and West Bromwich Albion. Sam Kerr will miss the rest of the season for Chelsea women with a serious knee injury. The Australian striker damaged an anterior cruciate ligament at the Champions warm weather training camp in Morocco. The 30-year-old has been Chelsea's top scorer for the past 3 seasons. It's getting very tight at the top of the Rugby Union Premiership. Bath, they're up to third, 3 points behind leaders Northampton. They beat Gloucester 17-10 at the Rec. They were behind at half-time, but fullback Tom de Glanville scored 2 tries to secure the win. That's a 9th defeat in a row for Gloucester. Rafa Nadal has pulled out of the Australian Open that starts next weekend. The Spaniard, who was a 2-time champion in Melbourne, had only just returned to action after 6 months out following surgery. He's picked up another hip injury. The Masters snooker is underway at Alexandra Palace, and the world champion Luca Brissell has been knocked out in the first round. The Belgian second seed was beaten 6 frames to 2 by England's Jack Lisowski, who reached the semi-finals last year. And Sean Murphy, he takes on Zhang Anda in the next couple of minutes. You can follow that on the BBC Sport website. Jane.
Ollie, thank you very much. Ollie Foster there. Now, just one more story to bring you before we go tonight. When a man in Powys noticed that his shed was mysteriously being tidied overnight, he set up a night vision camera to try to find out who was coming in, making everything pristine. Well, the mysterious Good Samaritan turned out to be a mouse, who you can see regularly picks up clothes pegs, corks, nuts and bolts. The shed's owner, Rodney Holbrook, said he's nicknamed his little helper Welsh Tidy Mouse. It's just brilliant. You wouldn't mind that mouse coming into your home, would you? That is it for now. I'll be back with the late news here at 10. Right now it is time for the news. Wherever you are, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Hello there, good evening. First up, although the rain has now mostly stopped falling, there are still around 175 flood warnings in force. The number is steadily dropping, but the river levels are still high. Will take some time to subside, and there's quite a lot of groundwater around. All of the details on those warnings on the BBC Weather website. Now, high pressure has been with us through the weekend. It's likely to stick around for much of next week too, so it should stay largely dry and settled, but frost and fog forming through the overnight periods, and some of the fog across parts of Scotland just lingered on all day, and temperatures underneath it remained sub-zero, and there'll be more fog forming overnight tonight. Perhaps not quite as extensive as it was last night. The air a little drier, a little bit more of a breeze. That northeasterly blowing some showers onshore into southeast Scotland, northeast England, and down through southeast England, and then it will all refreeze onto the roads and pavements. So icy stretches could be an issue tomorrow morning, and there will be a widespread frost too. Now, we'll still see more showers moving down from the North Sea on the northeasterly across East Anglia, down through the London area, parts of Sussex and Kent, wintry over the higher ground, perhaps a light dusting of snow. And as the wind turns more easterly, some of those showers could push further westwards into central southern England. But for most of us, it will stay dry, some weak winter sunshine around, areas of cloud, and where we keep the fog, it could linger on again through the day. Highs of 2 to 6 degrees Celsius, but in reality, it's going to be feeling colder than that with the strength of the wind, particularly in the south. Bye-bye.
We're all suspicious in here of everything.
The time for talk is over. But it's about to get quite complicated for the traitors. The Traitors continues Wednesday at 9 on BBC One and iPlayer.
We're back in our beloved Italy.
Bagging a bargain in Tuscany. Is that it? Massive, isn't it? And this time I've taken the reins. Amanda's not going to know what's hit her. Ow!
I'm basically in a hellhole.
Oh, my God. Oh, no. I'm ready for it. Go, go, go! Hello, love!
Amanda and Alan's Italian Job. Watch on BBC iPlayer.
The Narcissus House midwife speaking.
In hospital, you deal with cases. On the district, you deal with people.
There's a real back-to-school feeling in the air.
When mothers come to us, they bring everything they are with them.
Brand new Call the Midwife, due tonight at 8 on BBC One and iPlayer.
Yes, welcome to Sunday Night on BBC One. Dean Lydiate live with you tonight. Before the midwives arrive, a return visit to a stunning location in a brand new Antiques Roadshow.
Today we've come to Scotland's largest city, and we've set up home in that city's largest green space. We are in Pollok Park in Glasgow, and our tents and